Welcome back, everybody, to the Deep Dive. And today we're going to be tackling something that a lot of people find kind of bewildering, and that's project management plans and documents.
Right.
You know, you want to run your project smoothly, but getting a handle on all 18 components of a project plan,
Yeah.
plus those 33 key documents,
Mm-hmm.
it's like drinking from a fire hose.
Yeah, it's a lot.
like-
It is a lot.
yeah.
That's where we come in.
Yeah.
This deep dive is like your cheat sheet.
Okay.
We're not just going to define these things, but really get into why they matter, how they work together, and when you actually use each one.
And just to be sure we're not using some random internet list,
Right.
this is all based on PMI's Process Group's practice guide.
Yes.
So this is global standard stuff.
That's right.
You can use this on any project, no matter what industry you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So let's start by framing the project.
Okay.
It's like setting the stage before the actors come on.
Right.
You need the right backdrop for things to make sense.
Okay, so backdrop, the first thing.
The first framing component is the project lifecycle.
Project lifecycle now?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that just a fancy way of saying projects have a beginning, a middle, and an end?
It is about the journey,
Okay.
but choosing the wrong life cycle is like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole.
Okay.
It just won't work.
All right.
There are two 9 types: predictive, also
Okay.
known as waterfall,
Uh-huh.
and adaptive, which is more like agile.
Okay, so predictive.
Mm-hmm.
That's like when you plan a road trips and you've got every stop, every gas station, every snack break planned out.
Exactly.
No detours allowed.
No detours allowed.
Okay.
You define scope time and cost upfront.
Okay.
Great. For projects where things are stable and well understood.
Mm-hmm.
But for projects where you need to be more flexible and adjust as you go,
Oh.
adaptive is better.
So that's more like
Mm-hmm.
if you're exploring uncharted territory.
Yeah,
And you need room to discover new paths.
exactly.
You need that flexibility.
That's right.
Okay, so the life cycle sets the overall approach,
Mm-hmm.
but then we break things down further with project phases.
Precisely.
Okay.
Each phase has specific objectives and deliverable.
Right.
It's like dividing that road trip into manageable chunks,
That's-
stopping for gas, stretching your legs,
Right.
making sure you're still headed in the right direction.
So each phase has like a checkpoint at the end?
You got it. They're called phase gates,
Okay.
or sometimes kill points or stage gates.
Oh,
Bit dramatic, but
Right.
it highlights how important these checkpoints are to
Right.
making sure we're on track.
okay, so we've got our life cycle and phases.
Mm-hmm.
Now for the third framing component,
All right?
project management processes.
Yes.
Are these the
Got it.
49 processes I've heard whispered about in hushed tones?
Those are the ones.
Okay.
But don't worry, you won't be using all 49 for every project.
Right.
It's like, think of them as a toolkit. You pick and choose the right tools for the job.
Oh, okay, that makes me feel a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
So each process helps us manage a
Oh, yeah.
specific aspect of the project,
Right.
like deciding on the projectives
Mm-hmm.
or managing changes to the scope.
Exactly. Each process has inputs, which
Mhm.
is the information you need to get started,
Okay,
tools and techniques to do the work,
Okay.
and outputs,
Right.
which are the deliverables or results of that process.
so our project is framed now for the meat and potatoes.
Right.
The core 4 components of the project management plan.
That's right.
These seem like they could make or break a project.
You're right on the money.
Yeah.
These are the big ones.
Okay.
Scope, schedule, cost, and quality. Getting these right is essential for keeping your project on track and delivering what you promise.
All right, let's start with the scope management plan.
Okay.
Is this just about listing out all the work that needs to be done?
It's more than just a list.
Okay.
It's about defining, documenting, controlling, and verifying the project scope.
Okay.
This plan is all about setting boundaries and preventing scope creep.
Okay.
Imagine you're building a house,
Okay.
and suddenly, halfway through, someone decides they want an indoor swimming pool.
Oh, no. That's going to blow the budget and the timeline?
That's going to blow everything.
Yeah.
So the scope management plan helps us avoid those unexpected additions.
Okay, so it helps us avoid scope creep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It outlines how we'll define what's included and what's not, keeping everyone on the same page.
Okay, I'm starting to see why that's so important.
Yeah.
Now onto the schedule management plan.
Right.
This one seems pretty straightforward deadlines, right?
Deadlines are part of it, but
Okay.
it's more about how we develop, manage, and control the entire project schedule.
Okay.
It's like creating a detailed itinerary for that road trip,
Mm.
including estimated travel times,
Right.
rest stops, and potential delays.
So it's more than just a calendar?
Right.
Okay.
It establishes the policies, procedures, and documentation for scheduling activity resources and milestones.
Got it.
It might even include specific techniques like earned value management
Wow.
to objectively measure progress.
Okay, that sounds pretty sophisticated.
It can be.
Okay, on to the ever-present budget.
Yes.
That's the cost management plan, right? All right.
This plan helps us estimate, budget monitor, and control costs, making sure we don't overspend.
So making sure we don't spend all our money on souvenirs on the first day of the trip.
Exactly.
Okay, but how do we actually manage costs
So
throughout the project?
that's where the cost baseline comes in.
Okay.
It's the approved budget broken down by time periods.
Right,
It's what we use to track spending and make sure we stay on target.
got it. So it's not just setting a budget at the beginning, but continuously monitoring it
Right.
as the project progresses.
Continuously monitoring.
Yeah, makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Now, last but certainly not least,
Yes.
the quality management plan.
This one ensures we deliver a product or service that meets quality standards and keeps everyone happy. It's like making sure that road trip isn't just about reaching the destination, but also enjoying the journey
Yeah.
with comfortable accommodations and memorable experiences.
So it's about more than just checking for defects at the end.
Exactly.
Okay.
It defines quality policies, procedures, and metrics right from the beginning.
Got it.
We figure out what quality means for this specific project, how we'll measure it, and what we'll do to make sure we achieve it.
Okay, so we framed the project
Yes.
with the life cycle, the phases, and the processes.
Yeah.
And we've got those core 4 plans in place.
That's right.
What else do we need to think about when we're building out our project management plan?
Now we need to consider resources and potential risks.
Okay, let's talk resources.
Right.
Is the resource management plan all about who does what on the project?
It's more than just assigning tasks.
Okay.
It's about identifying, acquiring, allocating, managing, and even releasing the resources your project needs.
Okay.
Think of it like making sure you have a skilled driver, a reliable vehicle,
Right.
and a well-stocked cooler for that road trip.
Yeah.
You need the right people and resources available at the right time.
And those resource calendars we talked about
Yes.
come in handy here, right?
Absolutely.
And make sure people are available.
Right. They tell us who's available when and
Yeah.
help us avoid scheduling conflicts.
Okay.
The resource management plan also considers things like experience levels, skill sets, and even team dynamics.
Yeah.
It often includes a recognition plan, too, who gets rewarded for great work. And
I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
It's important to acknowledge people's contributions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now for the less glamorous
Right.
but equally important risk management plan.
This one is all about anticipating potential problems and having a plan to deal with them. It's like being prepared for flat tires, unexpected road closures, or maybe even running into a herd of bison on your road trip.
Okay, I definitely wouldn't want to encounter that on my vacation.
No.
So the risk management plan helps us identify those potential problems.
Yes.
And come up with solutions before they derail the project.
Exactly. It defines how we'll identify, analyze, and respond to risks.
Right.
It might even include a risk breakdown structure,
Okay.
which is a way to categorize and prioritize risks so we can focus on the ones that are most likely to happen and have the biggest impact.
So it's about being proactive and prepared rather than just hoping for the best.
Precisely.
Right.
A good risk management plan can be the difference between a smooth journey and a complete disaster.
Okay, we've covered framing the project, those core components,
Yep,
resources and risks.
that's right.
What's next in building out our project management plan?
We can't forget about the folks outside the project team.
Okay.
We need a plan for engaging with stakeholders and managing communication effectively.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Projects don't exist in a vacuum.
No, they don't.
We need to keep everyone informed
Yes.
and on board.
That's right.
So first up is the stakeholder engagement plan.
I got it.
Okay.
This plan outlines strategies for communicating with stakeholders and managing their expectations.
Okay.
Think of it as diplomacy.
Right.
We need to build relationships,
Mm-hmm.
address concerns, and keep everyone happy
Okay.
from the folks funding the project to the end users.
So it's about keeping those communication lines open
Yes.
and making sure everyone feels heard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about identifying key stakeholders,
Mm-hmm.
understanding their needs,
Right.
and tailoring our communication to keep them informed and engaged.
Okay.
It might even include guidelines for handling conflicts.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, disagreements are bound to happen on any project.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, on to the final component
All right.
of the project management plan, the
Okay.
communications management plan.
Right.
Is this just about sending out emails and meeting agendas?
It's more than just sending stuff out.
Okay,
It's about ensuring that information flows smoothly and effectively.
right.
between the project team and stakeholders.
Mm-hmm.
It's like establishing communication protocols for our road trip,
Right.
who to contact in case of emergencies,
Right.
how often to check in,
Ah.
and what information everyone needs to know to stay on top of things.
So we're talking about defining communication channels,
Mm-hmm.
methods, frequency,
Yes.
and who's responsible for what.
You got it.
Okay.
The communication management plan might include templates for meeting agendas,
Right.
status reports,
Mm-hmm.
or even guidelines for email etiquette.
Okay.
It's about making sure everyone's on the same page,
Right.
and we avoid those frustrating moments where information gets lost in the shuffle.
Right. We've covered a lot of ground with
Yeah,
those 18
A
components.
lot of components.
I'm starting to see how each piece of the puzzle fits together
Yes.
to create a comprehensive plan.
It all fits together.
Yeah.
It does.
Okay, so that's the project management plan in a nutshell.
That's the plan.
But wait,
But
there's more.
there's more.
We still have those 33 project documents to unpack.
Right, and these documents are more than just paperwork.
Yeah.
They're the evidence, the details, the records that bring the plan to life.
Right.
They track our progress,
Mhm.
provide proof of what we've accomplished,
Okay.
and help us communicate effectively with everyone involved.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
Good.
Let's dive into those documents. But how
Yes.
can we break this down for our listeners?
So
33, a lot to digest all at once.
instead of just listing them out,
Okay.
which could make anyone's eyes glaze over,
Right.
we'll group them by their function within the project.
Okay.
This will help you understand how they fit into the overall puzzle
Gotcha.
and why they're so important.
That sounds much less intimidating. So which function do we start with?
Let's begin at the beginning
Okay.
with the documents that help us define what the project is all about.
Right.
Scoping and requirements.
Scoping and requirements. So we're getting down to the nitty-gritty details
Yes.
of what we're actually trying to achieve.
Exactly.
Okay.
This is where we lay the foundation for everything else.
Okay.
We'll be exploring 4 key documents in this group.
Okay.
First up,
Right.
the requirements documentation.
Okay. Requirements documentation, is this like a wish list from everyone involved?
It's more than just a wish list.
Okay.
Think of it as a detailed contract between the project team and the stakeholders,
Right.
outlining exactly what needs to be achieved.
Okay.
These requirements should be crystal clear measurables
Mhm.
and agreed upon by everyone involved.
So it's about taking those wishes and desires and turning them into concrete, actionable requirement.
Precisely.
Yeah.
We need to know exactly what we're building
Right.
before we can start building it, right?
Right. Absolutely. Now, how do we make sure
Mhm.
that those requirements are actually reflected in what we deliver?
That's where the requirements traceability matrix comes in.
Okay.
It's a powerful tool that links each requirement to its origin,
Got it.
how it will be tested and verified, and ultimately which deliverable it's tied to. And think of it like a detective's evidence board,
Oh.
connecting all the dots to ensure nothing gets lost or overlooked.
So no loose ends allowed.
No loose ends.
Okay. We're making sure everything is accounted for
Yes.
and traceable back to those original requirements.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got now we need to break down how that's where the work breakdown structure, or WBS, comes in, right?
The WBS is a hierarchical diagram that takes the entire project scope and breaks it down into smaller, manageable chunks
Right.
called work packages.
Okay.
Imagine you're writing a book.
Right.
The WBS is like creating an outline,
Got it.
organizing the project into chapter sections and paragraphs.
So we're taking a big complex project
Yes.
and turning it into a series of smaller, more manageable tasks.
That's right.
That seems a lot less overwhelming.
Much less overwhelming.
Yeah. And to make those tasks even clearer,
Yes.
we have the WBS dictionary.
That's right. It provides detailed information about each element in the WPS, like
Yeah.
work descriptions, who's responsible, and how long we think each task will take.
So we've scoped the project,
Scoped.
defined those detailed requirements,
Yes.
and broken it down into manageable pieces.
Broken it down.
That feels like we've made some serious progress.
We have.
Okay.
We're off to a great start.
All right, so now let's move on to the documents that help us put some structure
Right.
around those tasks.
Sure.
Scheduling and costing.
Scheduling and cost.
Now we're talking about timelines,
Right.
deadlines, and of course,
Of course,
the dreaded budget.
the dreaded budget.
Yeah.
These documents help us create a realistic plan
Okay.
for when things will happen
Right.
and how much they'll cost.
Okay.
First, up the schedule model.
All right, schedule model.
This is the foundation for the project schedule.
Yeah.
It shows the sequence of activities, how long each one will take,
Right.
and which tasks depend on others being finished first.
So it's like a flow chart
Yeah,
for the project showing how all the pieces fit together
exactly.
in the timeline.
That's a great way to think about it and
Yeah.
to make it even more visual.
Okay.
We often use a Gantt chart
Right.
which is a type of bar chart that shows the start and end dates of each task,
Got it.
making it easy to see the overall timeline and track progress.
Ah, Gantt charts. I love a
Yes.
good visual representation.
Gantt charts are great.
Okay, so we got the now let's talk about the how much.
The how much?
That's where cost estimates come in.
That's right.
Okay.
These are the detailed calculations we use to figure out how much each task, resource, and activity will cost. We consider things like labor rates,
Right.
material costs,
Right.
and any other expenses associated with the project.
So it's more than just throwing out a random number.
Much more.
Okay.
We use various techniques to estimate costs accurately,
Yeah.
considering historical
Right.
data,
Right.
expert
Yeah.
opinions, and market research.
Okay.
We also need to factor in potential risks that could impact costs, like
Yeah.
changes in material prices or unexpected delays.
And once we have those cost estimates,
Yes,
how do we keep track of them throughout the project?
that's where the cost baseline comes in.
Okay, the cost baseline.
It's the approved time-phased budget for the project.
Right.
And it's what we use to track our spending and measure any deviations from the plan.
So it's our financial roadmap.
Yes.
And any changes to it need to be carefully considered
Carefully considered.
and approved.
Yeah, makes sense.
All right, we've tackled scoping and requirements,
Yes,
scheduling and costing.
we have.
What other document groups are essential for keeping our project on track?
Next up, let's explore the documents that help us deal with the inevitable bumps in the road,
Okay.
risk management, and quality assurance.
Ah, those are the ones that help us sleep better at night.
I hope so.
Knowing that we've got a plan for when things go wrong.
Yes.
And that we're delivering something that meets everyone's expectations.
Exactly.
Okay, so first up is the risk register.
The risk register.
Okay, is this where we keep a running list of all the potential problems that could derail the project?
That's a great way to think about it.
Okay.
It's a living document that captures each identified risk, its potential impact,
Right.
and most importantly, our plan for dealing with it.
So it's not just about identifying risks, but actually coming up with strategies
Exactly.
to mitigate them.
It's about being prepared for those what-if scenarios
Yeah,
and having a plan of attack.
makes sense. Now, what about when those potential problems actually happen?
That's when we turn to the issue log.
Okay, the issue log.
This document is like the project's troubleshooting guide,
Got it.
where we record and track any issues that pop up during the project.
So it's like a running list of problems
Yes.
that need to be addressed.
That need to be addressed.
and
I like
resolved.
this.
Okay, that's for managing risks.
Okay.
What about ensuring quality?
We have a few key documents that play a role in that. First up, quality reports.
Quality reports.
These document the results of our quality control activities,
Okay.
including any defects or issues we find.
So it's like a quality inspection checklist
That's a good way to think about it.
where we record our findings
Mm,
and track whether the project is meeting those standards we defined earlier.
exactly.
Yeah. And then we have test and evaluation documents.
Yes.
Okay.
These outline the methods and results of testing our project deliverables to
Okay.
ensure they meet those quality standards.
So we're talking about things like performance tests, user acceptance testing,
All those things.
and any other evaluations we conduct
Mm.
to ensure the quality of what we're delivering.
Precisely.
Okay.
These documents provide the evidence that we're meeting our quality goals.
All right. We've covered the documents for scoping and requirements,
Yes.
scheduling and costing,
We have.
and now risk management and quality assurance.
That's right.
I'm seeing how each group of documents plays a specific role
Mm.
in supporting the overall project management plan.
That's the key takeaway.
Yeah.
These documents are the backbone of our project.
Okay.
Providing the evidence, the details, and the communication tools we need to succeed.
All right. Now we've laid the foundation.
All right.
Let's move on to the next group of documents.
Okay.
Where do we go from here?
Now let's focus on the people who make the project happen.
Okay.
And those who have a vested interest in its success.
Right.
It's time to delve into the documents related to resources and stakeholders.
Resources and stakeholders,
Mhm.
the human element of project management.
The human element.
Yeah, this is about managing those all-important relationships and making sure everyone is working together effectively.
That's right.
Okay, so first up,
First up,
resource calendars.
resource calendars.
Those are the ones that tell us who's available when.
Exactly.
Yeah, making sure we don't overbook people or schedule meetings when half the team's on vacation.
That's right.
Okay.
They show us the working days and availability of each project resource, including team members,
Yeah.
equipment, and materials.
Uh-huh.
It's like a master calendar for everyone and everything involved.
So we could avoid scheduling conflicts
Avoid those scheduling conflicts.
and ensure that we have the right resources available
Right.
at the right time.
at the right time.
Yeah.
And resource calendars also consider things like individual experience levels,
Right.
skill sets, and even geographical locations.
Right. You wouldn't want to schedule a critical meeting with someone who's halfway across the world. in a
No.
different time zone.
That's right.
Okay, so we know who's available when,
Okay.
but how do we know who's responsible for what?
That's what project organization charts come in.
Okay, project organization charts.
They show us the reporting relationships and roles within the project team,
Right.
making it clear who's accountable for which tasks.
So it's like a family tree for the project.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
It helps to clarify roles, responsibilities, and
Right.
reporting structures,
Okay.
preventing confusion, and ensuring that everyone knows who to report to.
Right, so we've got our resources organized now onto the stakeholders.
Stakeholders.
We've talked about the stakeholder engagement plan earlier.
Yes, we did.
But what document helps us keep track of all the players involved?
That would be the stakeholder register.
Okay, the stakeholder register.
It's our comprehensive list of everyone who has a vested interest in the project,
Right.
their contact information, their level of influence,
Okay.
and how they prefer to be kept informed.
So it's like a directory
Yes.
of all the stakeholders'
Their
interests and how to best communicate with them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a valuable tool for understanding and managing stakeholder relationships,
Right.
ensuring that we're engaging with them effectively and keeping them informed.
Okay, so we've got the documents for scoping and requirement, scheduling and costing,
Yeah.
risk management, and quality assurance.
That's right.
And now resources and stakeholders.
That's right.
What's next on our document deep dive?
Let's wrap up our exploration of these essential documents
Okay.
with the ones that deal with interacting with the outside world
Okay.
and keeping information flowing smoothly.
Right.
Procurement and communication.
Procurement and communication. I'm guessing these documents are all about managing those external relationships
You got it.
and making sure everyone's in the loop,
In the loop.
both inside and outside the project team.
Both inside and outside.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, so first up,
First up, we have procurement documents.
procurement documents.
This is a broad category that includes everything from requests for proposals
Okay,
or RFPs to contracts
right.
outlining how we'll acquire goods and services from external vendors.
So it's about defining the rules of engagement
Yes.
when we need to bring in outside help,
Right.
like specialized equipment or expertise.
Exactly.
Okay.
And within this category, we have the procurement statement of work,
Okay.
or SO,
No?
which defines the specific work to be performed by a vendor under contract.
So it's like a mini scope statement for the vendor.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
It ensures everyone's on the same page from the get-go,
Right.
preventing misunderstandings and disputes down the line.
Okay, procurement
Handled. Now for a document that seems pretty essential for any project that's going to experience the change log.
The change log. Okay,
Projects are rarely static.
right.
And the change log is where we keep track of all those twists and turns,
Okay.
documenting every approved change to the project plan and those all-important documents.
So it's like a history book for the project.
Yes.
Yeah, chronicling all the adjustments and revisions that inevitably occur along the way.
Exactly.
Okay.
It helps us understand why decisions were made,
Right.
track the impact of those changes, and ensure that everyone's working with the most up-to-date information.
Okay, change management check.
Chats.
For a document that sounds like it could be really valuable,
All right.
not just for this project,
Okay.
but for future ones as well.
Yes.
The lessons learned register.
This one is all about capturing those valuable insights and experiences we gain throughout the project,
Okay.
both the good and the bad.
So it's like the project's debriefing session,
That's a good way to think about it.
where we reflect on what worked well, what didn't,
Yeah,
and what we can do better next time.
exactly.
Okay.
It's a powerful tool for continuous improvement,
Right.
helping us learn from our mistakes, identify best practices, and share that knowledge within the organization.
Okay. I can definitely see the value in that.
Good.
We've covered a lot of documents in this deep dive,
We have.
and I'm starting to feel like I'm getting a handle on this whole project management thing.
You're doing great.
Thanks.
It is a lot to absorb.
Yeah.
But remember, each document serves a specific purpose.
Right.
Providing evidence, tracking progress, and facilitating communication.
Mhm.
They are the unsung heroes of successful projects.
Okay, so we've gone through and talked about these 18 components of a project management plan
We have.
and 33 documents.
So
But how does this play out
Sure.
in a real project?
let's see how these pieces work together in real-world scenarios.
Okay.
Imagine you're tasked with launching a new software product.
All right. A software launch.
You know, the next big app everyone's going to be talking about.
Ooh, that sounds exciting,
It is exciting.
but also a little bit daunting.
It can be daunting.
Yeah. Where do we even begin?
We start by choosing the right project lifecycle.
Okay.
For software development and adaptive lifecycle, like Agile often makes sense.
Okay, so
It
as
allows for flexibility and adjustments as we go,
right.
which is crucial in a fast-paced tech environment.
So it's like we're setting off on a road trip
Mm-hmm.
with a general destination in mind,
Yeah,
but leaving room for detours and discoveries along the way.
exactly.
Okay.
We know we want to launch a great software product,
Mm.
but we might need to adjust features timelines or even the target audience
Right.
based on feedback and testing.
Right.
Now, let's break this launch into phases.
Okay.
We might have a planning phase, a development phase, testing a marketing and pre-launch phase, and finally, the big launch day.
So each phase with its own set of objectives and
Yes,
deliverables. And of course,
Plus
those
crucial
crucial phase
stages.
hits to make sure we're on track before moving on.
Absolutely.
But how do those core four components, scopes, schedule, cost, and quality?
Let's start with scope.
Okay.
For this software product, we need to define exactly what features and functionality we're building.
Okay.
What platforms will it run on? Will
Right.
it integrate with other systems? Getting this right is like creating a blueprint for our software house.
So we're setting those boundaries early on,
Yes.
making sure we don't fall into the trap of scope creep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No adding extra rooms or a swimming pool halfway through the build.
Right,
A
exactly.
clear scope keeps us focused and prevents those budget-busting, timeline-blowing additions.
Got it. Now on to the schedule.
Right, the schedule.
We'll need to create a realistic timeline for each development activity,
Right.
considering those dependencies we talked about earlier.
Those dependencies.
Some tasks can't start until others are finished.
Exactly. Some tasks depend on others.
Right.
That's right.
And we need to factor in things like resource availability.
Absolutely.
Everything. Making sure our developers, designers, and testers have the time and bandwidth to do their best work.
That's right. We need to make sure they have the resources they need.
Okay, and let's not forget about estimating costs.
Oh, yes, the costs.
We need to consider everything
Right.
from developer salaries and software licenses to marketing expenses and customer support.
All of those things.
It's starting to feel like a lot of numbers,
It can be.
but I guess that's where those cost estimates and the cost baseline
Yes.
come in handy.
They are essential.
Right.
We use those cost estimates to create a realistic budget,
Mm-hmm.
and the cost baseline helps us track spending and make adjustments as needed.
Okay, we've got scope, schedule, and cost covered. What about quality?
Quality is crucial.
Yeah, we want to make sure this software is top-notch.
Yes.
Something people will love using.
That's what we want.
Yeah.
That's where our quality management plan comes in. We define what quality means for this specific product, how we'll measure it,
Right.
and what testing procedures we'll use to make sure it meets our standards and exceeds user expectations.
So we're not just hoping for the best.
No hoping is not a strategy.
Yeah, we're actually planning for quality from day one.
We are planning for quality.
Okay.
We're defining things like performance metrics, usability criteria, and security protocols.
Okay.
And we're documenting all of this in those test and evaluation documents.
Right.
So we have evidence that our software is the best it can be.
All right, we've got a handle on the core four for our software launch.
Yes.
What about resources and those potential risks that keep popping up in my mind?
Great questions.
Yeah.
We need to identify the right team for this project.
Okay.
Developers, designers, testers, marketers, the whole crew.
Right.
And our resource management plan will outline how we'll acquire, allocate, and manage those resources effectively.
And those resource calendars will help us keep track of everyone's availability. Making sure we're not scheduling meetings when half the team is out on vacation.
That's right. We need to avoid those scheduling conflicts.
Exactly. And let's not forget about those potential risks.
Ah, yes, risks. Those pesky risks.
Software development is full of what-ifs.
So many what-ifs.
What if we encounter unexpected technical challenges?
That's a big one.
What if a competitor launches a similar product before us?
That's always a possibility.
Yeah.
That's where the risk management plan comes in.
Right. We need to be prepared for those bumps in the road.
We do. We identify potential risks, assess their likelihood and impact,
Right.
and develop response plans.
Okay.
And we'll track all of this in the risk register so we can stay on top of things and adjust our approach as needed.
Okay. Resources and risks covered.
Feather?
But what about those stakeholders we talked about earlier?
Ah, yes, stakeholders. We can't forget about them.
Don't we need to keep them informed and engaged
We do. They're
through
informed.
this whole process?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's where our stakeholder engagement plan comes in.
Okay.
We identify key stakeholders from investors to potential customers,
Right.
and we tailor our communication to meet their needs.
So we're talking about regular updates, demos, Q&A sessions.
Oh, that.
Maybe even gathering feedback from early users.
Exactly. We want to keep everyone informed and excited about the product,
Right.
addressing any concerns and building support along the way.
Okay.
And our stakeholder register will be our go-to resource for keeping track of all the players and their communication preferences.
All right. Stakeholder engagement, check.
Check.
But with so much communication flying around,
Right.
how do we make sure everyone's getting the right information at the right time?
That's where our communications management plan comes into play.
Okay, the communications management plan?
It outlines how we'll collect, create, distribute, and even store project information.
Got it.
We define communication channels, frequency of updates, and
Okay.
who's responsible for what.
So it's like creating a communication roadmap for the project.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, ensuring that information flows smoothly and everyone stays in the loop.
Precisely.
Okay.
We might even include templates for meeting agenda status reports or even guidelines for email communication, just to keep things consistent and organized.
Okay, I'm starting to see how all these components and documents
Yes.
work together to create a cohesive and effective plan for our software launch.
They all work together.
Yeah, but how do those 33 project documents actually come into play?
So
It still feels a bit abstract.
let's imagine we're in the thick of the development phase.
Okay.
Our developers are hard at work building the software, but they need guidance, right? That's where those requirements documents come in.
Okay, requirements documents?
They provide the detailed specifications for what's being built,
Right.
ensuring that everyone is on the same page.
And the work breakdown structure helps us break those big development tasks
Yes.
into smaller, more manageable chunks,
Chunks.
assigning them to specific team members
Right.
and tracking their progress.
Track for progress is important. And as we encounter those inevitable risks and issues, the risk register and issue log help us stay organized and proactive.
Okay.
We can track potential problems, document solutions,
Right.
and keep everyone informed of any roadblocks.
And the quality reports and tested evaluation documents
yes,
provide the evidence that we're meeting our quality goals,
that's right.
ensuring that the software is performing as expected
Performing as expected
and ready for launch.
and ready for launch. You got it.
So those documents
Those documents are crucial for tracking progress, making decisions, and communicating effectively with everyone involved.
Right.
They bring the project management plan to life.
Wow, this is starting to make a lot more sense.
Good.
We've gone from a jumble of components and documents
Yes.
to a clear picture of how they all work together
It all comes together.
to guide a software launch.
It does.
Yep, but I'm guessing these tools aren't just for tech projects.
Absolutely not.
Right.
Let's shift gear
Okay.
and explore how these same concepts can be applied to a completely different type of project.
All right.
Imagine we're tasked with building a brand new office building.
Okay, a construction project.
You know, one of those gleaming skyscrapers with all the bells and whistles.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that definitely feels different from a software launch.
It's a different beast.
Yeah, I can already picture blueprints, hard hats, lots of heavy machinery.
All of that.
Yeah. How would our approach to project management change
So,
for this scenario?
well, for starters, the project lifecycle might be more predictive.
Okay.
Like waterfall in this case.
Okay, back to waterfall.
Construction projects often have well-defined stages and deliverables,
Right.
making a more linear approach more suitable.
Okay.
We're building something tangible,
Yeah.
so it helps to have a detailed plan from the outset.
So we're back to that meticulously planned road trip
Exactly.
with every stop and turn mapped out in advance.
We need to know where we're going.
Yeah.
We need to carefully define the scope,
Okay.
the size of the building, the number of floors, the materials we'll use, the special features we'll include,
Right.
and we'll translate all of those details into those detailed blueprints
Yeah.
and technical specifications.
And the schedule is crucial here.
The schedule is crucial.
Right. Construction projects often involve multiple teams and subcontractors.
So many people involved.
So coordination is key.
Coordination is key.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Okay.
We need a detailed timeline for each phase of the project,
Right.
from demolition and excavation to framing, electrical plumbing, and finishing.
So many phases.
And those Gantt charts will be our best
Back to
friend,
the Gantt charts.
helping us visualize the timeline, track progress,
Yeah.
and identify any potential delays.
And let's not forget about the budget.
Yes, the budget, always important.
Construction materials, labor costs, permits, inspections.
It all adds up.
It all adds up.
You know,
Yeah.
we need accurate cost estimates for each phase of the project.
Right.
And that cost baseline will keep us on track,
Yeah.
alerting us to any potential overruns.
Okay, so we've got scope, schedule, and cost under control.
Under control.
But what about quality?
Quality is paramount in construction.
Right, we don't want any shortcuts or shoddy workmanship
Absolutely not.
when we're building a skyscraper.
We want this building to be safe and sound.
Yeah.
Our quality management plan will outline building codes, safety regulations, inspection procedures, and material standards
Right,
to ensure that the building is not only beautiful,
right,
but also safe, durable,
right.
and meets all regulatory requirements.
So those quality reports and test and evaluation documents will be crucial
They will be crucial.
for documenting our adherence to those standards.
Absolutely.
We'll need evidence that every step of the process has been done properly.
We need that evidence.
Yeah. but
Exactly.
quality assured. Now,
Sure.
what about resources and stakeholders?
All right, resources and
In
stakeholders.
this construction scenario.
Well, we'll need a skilled construction crew,
Okay.
subcontractors for specialized tasks like electrical and plumbing suppliers for materials,
hmm
and of course, those all-important architects and
And our
engineers.
resource management plan will help us acquire, allocate, and manage all those resources effectively.
We'll use those resource calendars to track everyone's availability,
Right.
create project organization charts to clarify roles and responsibilities, and establish a clear communication plan to keep everyone informed.
And speaking of stakeholders,
Stakeholder.
we've got a lot of them in this
I
project,
do.
right? From investors and city officials
Yes.
to future tenants and even the surrounding community.
So many stakeholders.
Yeah.
You got it.
Okay.
Our stakeholder engagement plan will be crucial for identifying those key stakeholders,
Right.
understanding their interests and concerns,
Yeah.
and tailoring our communication to keep them informed and on board.
So we'll be holding community meetings, sending out newsletters,
All of that.
maybe even creating a website to keep everyone updated on the progress.
Exactly. We want to build positive relationships with our stakeholders,
Right.
address any concerns, and make sure everyone feels like they're part of this exciting project.
Okay, stakeholder engagement check.
Check.
But with so many moving parts and people involved in a construction project,
Right.
communication can get
But
pretty...
it can be a challenge.
Yeah,
That's where the communications management plan comes in.
right. The communications management plan...
We need clear communication channels,
Uh-huh,
regular progress reports,
right.
and a system for handling change requests and addressing issues.
So lots of meetings, site visits, emails, phone calls.
All of the above.
Yeah, it sounds like a whirlwind of communication.
It can be,
Okay,
but with a solid plan in place,
right.
we can make sure that everyone stays informed,
Mm-hmm.
decisions are made efficiently, and the project progresses smoothly.
All right, I'm starting to see how those 18 components and 33 documents we talked about earlier
Mm-hmm.
can be applied to a wide range of projects.
A wide range of projects.
From launching a software product to building a skyscraper.
They're versatile tools.
Yeah, it's like having a toolkit filled with the right tools for any job.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
These tools can be adopted and customized to fit the unique needs of any project,
Right.
no matter how big or small.
Okay, I'm feeling much more confident about tackling those project management challenges now.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, but I'm sure there's even more to explore.
There's always more to learn.
Yeah.
Join us for part 3 of our deep dive as we delve into some practical tips for putting this knowledge into action
Right.
and explore some common pitfalls to avoid.
Ooh, I don't like pitfalls.
We'll help you steer clear of them.
Okay.
We'll be sharing insights and strategies
Okay.
to help you become a more effective project manager
Right.
and achieve project success.
Sounds good. See you there. Welcome back to the deep dive. We've explored the 18 components of a project management plan and those 33 key documents, and we've even seen how they work in different project scenarios.
Now let's get practical and talk about how to apply all of this knowledge in your own projects.
Let's start with some practical tips for putting these concepts into action after all.
Right.
What good is all this knowledge if we don't know how to actually use it?
I completely agree. First and foremost, remember that project management is a skill that you develop over time.
Okay.
It's like learning to ride a bike.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't expect to jump on a Tour de France bicycle and win a race on your first try. Right.
Definitely not. You'd probably end up with a few scrapes and bruises.
Exactly. So start small, practice,
Right.
and gradually build up your confidence and expertise.
Maybe start by applying these concepts to a personal project, like planning a vacation or organizing a community event.
That's a great idea.
You could even use project management software to track your progress and keep yourself organized.
Absolutely.
That's a great idea. It's like a training ground for those bigger, more complex projects.
Exactly.
So as we gain experience, are there any resources or guidance you'd recommend?
Absolutely. The Project Management Institute, PMI, is a fantastic resource.
Okay.
They offer a wealth of knowledge certifications
Right.
and even networking opportunities to connect with other project management professionals.
So the PMI sounds like a great place to start.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other practical tips you can share?
Don't be afraid to embrace technology.
Oh, yeah.
There are tons of amazing project management software tools out there that can streamline planning, scheduling, communication, and document management.
Yeah, I could see how technology could make things a lot easier,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you're juggling multiple projects and deadlines.
It can be a lifesaver, but remember, technology is just a tool. The real key to success is understanding the principles of project management and how to apply them effectively.
So it's about having that solid foundation of knowledge
That foundation.
before we start clicking buttons and filling out templates.
That's right.
Yeah. Are there any other pitfalls
Oh, yes.
we should be aware of?
Definitely one of the biggest mistakes I see people make is poor communication.
Oh, yeah.
It can derail even the best laid plans.
You know that feeling when you're left out of the loop and suddenly everything's changed without you knowing?
I know that feeling.
Communication breakdowns could be a recipe for disaster.
They absolutely can. To avoid this, establish clear communication channels from the beginning.
Okay?
Make sure everyone knows how often they'll wave updates, what those updates will contain, and who they can contact with questions or concerns.
So it's not just about sending out emails or schedule meetings.
Right.
It's about being proactive
Proactive.
and tailoring your communication
Yes.
to the needs of your audience.
To your audience.
What about other potential pitfalls?
Another common trap is setting unrealistic expectations.
Oh, yeah.
We might be tempted to overpromise and underdeliver, especially when we're eager to please.
It's like saying we can reach our destination in 5 hours.
Right.
When it's really a 10-hour drive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's better to be upfront about limitations,
Okay.
potential risks, and realistic timelines.
Right.
That way everyone's on the same page,
Yeah.
and there are no surprises down the road.
Okay. Unrealistic expectations.
Yeah, it's noted.
What about something we talked about earlier? Inadequate risk management.
Ah, yes. Ignoring or underestimating risks is a surefire way to run into problems.
Right.
Remember that risk management plan and risk register we discussed?
Yeah.
Those are your best friends when it comes to avoiding potential disasters.
So it's not about being pessimistic
Right.
or assuming the worst will happen,
No.
but rather being prepared for those what-if scenarios and having a plan in place.
Exactly. It's about being proactive and thinking through those potential roadblocks so we can navigate them smoothly if they do arise.
Okay. What about,
Hmm.
we talked about the importance of stakeholder engagement.
Yes,
Is it a pitfall to not involve them enough in the project?
absolutely. Not engaging stakeholders can lead to misunderstandings, resistance, and even project failure.
Right.
We need to keep them informed, involved, and feeling like they're part of the team.
So those regular meetings, status updates, and opportunities for feedback
Yes,
aren't just a nice to have. They're essential for keeping stakeholders happy
they are
and
essential.
the project on track.
Exactly. And one final pitfall to watch out for: scope creep.
Ah, yes, the dreaded scope creep.
Scope creep.
It's like that extra suitcase we try to squeeze into the already overflowing trunk of the car.
I know what you mean.
Something's got to give.
Exactly. Scope creep can quickly derail a project,
Yes.
leading to delays, budget overruns, and frustration.
Right.
We need to be vigilant about managing changes to the scope, using that change log to track every modification,
Right.
and making sure that any additions or adjustments are carefully considered and approved.
So sometimes saying no is the best way to protect the project
Sometimes saying no is the best thing you can do.
and ensure its success.
Absolutely. Saying no to scope creep is often saying yes to staying on track, on budget, and delivering what we promised.
Okay. All right, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
From those essential components and documents to real-world scenarios
Yes.
and practical tips.
We've covered it all.
We've even explored some common pitfalls to avoid,
Those pitfalls.
equipping you with the knowledge to navigate the challenges of project management.
That's our goal.
So as we wrap up, what key message would you like to leave our listeners with today?
Project management is a journey, not a destination.
Okay.
Embrace the challenges, learn from your experiences, and never stop striving for excellence.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, every project is an opportunity to grow, to improve, and to make a positive impact.
Beautifully said.
Thank you.
So to all our listeners out there, whether you're seasoned project management pros
Yes.
or just starting out,
Right.
keep those minds curious, those projects on track, and those dreams alive.
Until next time, happy project managing.